younger generations. Passed on through the word of mouth, through enticing and interesting stories, wisdom was made immortal. After the rise of raw information, stories became impractical, as the purpose now was just to transfer large amounts of info from one generation to the next. Information needed for the survival of future generations, yes, but just information nonetheless. But now, with the rise of AI, information need not be transferred to younger generations, but knowledge and wisdom must. To speak more about imparting knowledge and wisdom in a world with AI, and to speak about the future of storytelling, we have a panel discussion.
For the moderator of this panel discussion, we would like to invite Mr. Syed Sultan Ahmed. A passionate educator, first and social entrepreneur, and founder of LXL Ideas, Mentor Magazine, and Crayon Events.
Moving further, for our next panelist, we would like to invite Mr. Sandeep Sethi. Mr. Sandeep Sethi is the Director of Education and is the Maharaja Sawai Man Singh II Trust of City Palace, Jaipur. Sir has experimented and pioneered education through theatre, created plays on subjects, and has also performed at NSD. He has held 25 exhibitions in commerce stream subjects and is a trainer for using graphic novels as a pedagogy. He has collaborated with 45 schools, creating 100 graphic novels.
Moving forth, for our next panelist, we would like to invite Dr. Jyoti Gupta. Dr. Jyoti Gupta is the founder and director of DPS Sahibabad. She is also the director principal of the KR Mangalam World School, GK2.
Moving forth, we have for our third panelist, Mr. Yatharth Gautam. Mr. Yatharth is an experienced director and COO with a demonstrated history of working in the education and commodities industry. He is skilled in negotiation, contracts, import, research, exports, international business, and market analysis. He is a strong marketing professional with a Master of Business Administration focused in international marketing from EU Business School, Barcelona.
Further, we have our fourth panelist, Dr. M. Madan Mohan. Dr. M. Madan Mohan is the principal of Symbiosis International School. He has worked diligently for 2 decades to nurture a niche educational landscape that fosters research and creative thinking. Enriching and enhancing his skills and knowledge, he pursued a doctorate in information literacy, traveled extensively to many different universities, and explored many layered challenges of international baccalaureate schools in India.
And finally, for our fifth panelist, we have Mr. Ian Davies. Mr. Ian Davies is the Dean of the Garodia International College. He has served as the head of school for the Garodia International Center for Learning, Mumbai, and also as the chairperson of DP Coordinators Network Indonesia. Oh, all right then, we'll miss him. Now, a request from all those who are listening. When people speak here, when they come up and hold discussions here, we, albeit don't speak anything, are still helping by being part of the discussion, by listening, by learning. And I understand it's incredibly late, but I would request all of you to please stay back to show your respect for the speakers and to listen and to be with them. Thank you so very much.
Love you for that.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, boys. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And this is, wow, a lot of sessions from the morning. So are you still awake, everyone? Good morning. No, I'm told it's supposed to be evening. Good evening. So here's what I did. Just this morning, when I woke up, I opened my Insta like I do every day. And there was a very beautiful story that was prompted to me. I've not been horse riding now for almost a year. So there was a beautiful story of 8 or 10 of my horse riding pictures that I had posted on Insta over the past 3 or 4 years. And there was a beautiful story that came out, and I just posted that in the morning. All of you have a mobile phone with you? Yeah. Do you know each one of us sitting in this room are using one of the world's most sophisticated big data, deep analytics, sophisticated prediction tool called as the Google Maps. There is yet to be another product that will come even remotely close to the kind of intelligence that that particular software has. You know, from the morning, a few panels, we've had this discussion, and I want to set that for my panels. There's no debate. Artificial intelligence, big data, machine learning, we've been using it for multiple years now already. But what's changed is for the first time in November 2022, a generative AI tool, ChatGPT, was given in our hands, and suddenly we got very excited about the whole thing, and it has. It has been very disruptive. So here's what I did. Now, if you have to talk about stuff like this, you better do stuff like this. So I just went on to ChatGPT and I typed a question. I need questions for a panel aimed at educators on a topic of AI and the future of storytelling. So it threw up 115 questions. So, and then I said, buddy, this is too much. So choose 5 of the most relevant to the audience of educators in India. So I have 5 questions from ChatGPT. I didn't stop at that. I went to Bing. How many of you have been using Bing? If you've not been, please start using Bing. And I asked Bing the same question, then it threw up 10 questions. Bing already by this time had figured I had a conversation with ChatGPT. And it threw me 10 questions, and then I said, can you reduce them? So Bing has given me 5 questions. So I'm going to be the intelligent host with very relevant questions taken from across the globe with all the minds that have been around. And I'm going to be, ladies and gentlemen, moderating this wonderful panel, and the theme is AI and the future of storytelling. Let's unravel a captivating synergy between, this is originally written by Ravi's team. This is not ChatGPT. A synergy between technology and storytelling. So I just want to set the context. I don't want this to be a question each to my panelists. I'm going to open up with 3 or 4 questions, not more than that. Then let's go to the audience. Storytelling has been integral to mankind. Absolutely integral. All our cultures, our history, our traditions, our religion, everything's come down on storytelling. A lot of people tell me that that is an art that's dying. And I don't believe them. We are telling stories, but telling it in a very different way. There is no generation like the generation that exists today whose stories are recorded the way our stories are today. Every single post you're putting up on your Facebook, or a WhatsApp status that you're putting up, or a photograph that you're putting up, or a video that you're putting up is a story that you are telling. And today, technology, social media, all of these platforms are allowing us to express ourselves. So I'm going to start with the panel. Jyoti ma'am, you're here. Sandeep, Sethi sir, Yatharth, Dr. Madan, Mohan. Let's keep this very, very interactive. Our children need to tell stories, need to express themselves. Whether it is an essay writing or a letter, whether it is, they need to comment on World War II in history, they need to express themselves. My question to you is, how do you look at the new generative AI technologies? What are your opinions of should we allow our children to use them or not? Question number 1. But here's the bigger one, and this is the cat. I'm leaving it out of the bag. If a child is going to go on ChatGPT, print out an answer, and come and give it to a teacher who's physically going to evaluate it, how do you expect a teacher to even evaluate whether this is? So my question, I'm leaving it open. 2 parts. How do we encourage our children and support them to use the tools that are available to them today? And how do you equip a teacher? So let's start. Jyoti ma'am, you want to start off? Yeah. By the way, this was one question from Bing and one from ChatGPT. FYI.
So I would say that yes, we should encourage our children to use the ChatGPT. Why not? The generative AI is here to help all of us. And not just the children, but also the teachers. And I find this generation to be more expressive than probably the generations, those who were not exposed to so much of media. Even if they're eating food, they have to take the picture of that, food that they're eating.
That's more important than eating, actually.
And put up that picture. So stories for them, information for them, and sharing the information with the rest of the world is extremely important. Now, how do we use that in their learning is a question. Now, learning also is changing. It is not the book that is actually teaching the child. So if there is one as a teacher, today peer is a very important teacher, and the enabling environment is a very important teacher for the child. You have to put the child in an environment where the child learns on his own. The teacher's
by the way,
role,
children don't need that environment. They create their own environment. They pick up the mom's
Absolutely.
phone, they pick up the dad's laptop, they're creating their environment. Tell me, how does a teacher? Let's
So
move to
that's
the
where
other
I
point.
was
How do
coming.
you equip the
Yeah.
teacher to
So
handle this?
the teacher has to act more as a facilitator, and she has to narrow down what the child has to learn. Because today it's not the role of expanding the information for the child. It is narrowing down the so much of information that the child has to the relevant topic that the teacher wants to transact with. Now, the second question, that is, how do you equip the teachers? The teacher of today has to know technology. The teacher of today, like Aditi was just saying that she used the chat GPT. I have asked all my teachers to download the chat GPT and to use it and see as to what kind of work comes out when they use the chat GPT. The children will use it. Now the question is, are the teachers equipped enough to ask relevant questions? It's like the open book test. You have the book open in front of you.
Yeah.
What are the skills you are trying to
Trying to
test?
teach. You know,
So
there's a very
please do
important
not
point
test
you-
the knowledge.
She brings out a very important point, and this is extremely, extremely relevant. If you want to follow somebody from India who is an absolute authority with the future and technology, you must follow this gentleman called as Bindra. He's called the Tech Whisperer. If you've not, please follow him. And he says something very brilliant, and it is something that we've all been hearing it, but it is a reality today. Why are we teaching answers to the kids and evaluating their answers? We need to be evaluating their questions. Because if you want to use any of these generative AI tools, it depends on the question and the quality of question. Sir, I'll come to you.
The thing is that you have put the question to the future, right? I'm putting this question to the past.
You're putting the question to the past.
Precisely
Wonderful, yes.
1 week. Okay. Real life scenario. The child comes with a draft. We are IB school, so they have their extended essays and all the projects are there, right? So they come with
You
the
just
draft.
hold the mic a little closer.
Yeah, they come with the draft, 1,500 words draft. And they submit a soft copy. We upload it to Turnitin. Then the Turnitin gives the similarity index. There are some percentage of plagiarism, 20%, so on. And there is another issue in that which says generated by the AI. So the Turnitin is catching all the things what you have copied from the web and what you have copied from the chat GPT or any AI tools. So what happens here is this data is there with us. Then we confront the student about what the child has done, what are the prompts the child has given to the chat GPT. Okay, so we are not assessing the draft, we are assessing
Now you're
the
assessing
prompts.
the prompts they've given. So
Okay.
wonderful to hear this, and it's absolutely
so
heartening to
when we
hear
are
this.
assessing the prompts, then the real thing comes. So the prompts are not given by the child. They're given by the friend of the child.
Okay.
So this is where the plagiarism catch lies. Okay, so what happens here is, so the student comes to the class, we have a discussion, again the same Viva concept comes into play. So even AI, for that matter, if you are using AI extensively, it catches the way you are writing a draft. For example, myself, I'm using AI extensively for the last so many months now, right? So the kind of draft I'm putting in the email, it clearly has my lingo. Okay, and the same thing happens with the child also.
Right.
They are coming with the same lingo, but here, again, when the Viva comes on, that time the questions are asked in such a way that whether the child knows the topic or doesn't know the topic, it's very clear. And again, one thing is about why are we teaching content to the kids? When you have content like two different opposing contents, then only the power of analysis comes.
Yes.
Otherwise, content is like, maybe it can be called as redundant. But here, it's very, very important that we know the content to analyze the future. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
so it's the analytical skills that you spoke about. Can you talk to us about the tool? When did you acquire that tool to check plagiarism from your assignments? And how would you do it in a written format for an article?
All the drafts are given in a soft copy. Okay, for
but
example,
schools, if you're taking assignments in hard copy, you have a
all the
problem.
IB schools, they have got Turnitin. It's compulsory for them, right? So what happens is, again, the AI software, it subscribes to many AI tools.
Yes, it does.
Okay, so from where the child has got the Quillbot and all these things are like famous AI tools.
Yes.
If the child goes to the one which is not famous, if they search for an AI tool and go on a page number 7 and take that AI tool, the Turnitin will not know that. Okay, so
wonderful.
That's how the
Thank you so much. It was very insightful, and I'm so glad that you are so ahead of the curve compared to a lot of other organizations that I know. Yatharth.
Yeah, so I think to answer your first question, I think we all know that if you stop children from doing something, they're going to do it, right? So back to basics, let them use the tools, monitor the usage, of course, but when it comes to ChatGPT, I mean, I've tried using it as well. Ravi bullies me into some articles, I do it from there. But if your prompt is incorrect, it's input, output, it's basic. तो अगर आप इनपुट ही नहीं दे पा रहे हो कायदे से या आप कम्युनिकेट नहीं कर पा रहे हो उसको, the result's not going to be.
You know, you've touched upon the most interesting aspect. One is the question you ask, that's the prompt, and the format in which you do your prompt. So one of the biggest fads that I heard in education was all about coding. You know, we almost went and made it a life skill. Some of the coding companies went to the HRD ministry and included it in the NEP also, and all of us fell for it. It is not a life skill. It is not a skill that everybody needs to know. How to use technology, we need to know. But the prompt that we are talking about today, language skill is the new coding, by the way, in case you didn't know. The skill of using the right language.
But coding, like what happens in coding is, you have the clear if-then logic. Okay, there's something called as if-then logic.
No, but it's not a life skill which every child needs to learn.
I'm coming to that. So what happens is, when you know basic coding, formulas and everything, then at that time, the analysis, and when we think about a software, for example, one vendor is coming with a software. Okay, so he's showing his all prowess of what the software can do. But here, when we are having that coding knowledge, then we can clearly see that this is a very easy concept he's selling it to us.
Genuinely, mathematics of our old also does exactly that, if children understand the basics of mathematics, right? So, you've been a patient listener, and I love that expression on your face, and I'm waiting for your response on this.
So what is most interesting is it's the last discussion for today, and I'm the last panelist also, and the statement given to us was,
he deserves a big round of applause for that, right?
Which has already been spoken, one should not speak about. तो वो हमारा एक अंडरलाइन रवि से स्टेटमेंट आया था, कुछ अगर डिस्कस हो चुका है तो उसको दोबारा मत लेकर आना. तो दोबारा नहीं ला रहा हूँ, कोई भी बात जो आपने कही है. So I'm just taking a different tangent altogether. आपकी मम्मी का खाना और मासी का खाना सेम टेस्ट थोड़ी ना होता है पकाने का. पकाते सेम है और वो अपनी नानी से ही सीख कर आया, पर तीनों के खानों में भी टेस्ट में फ़र्क है. फ़र्क क्यों है? इंग्रेडिएंट्स तो सेम है, टीचिंग भी सेम है, लर्निंग भी सेम है, but there's something different. That is what the teachers will have to be. Now, when I use interns in my office and I give them some assignment, तो वो फटाफट करके मुझे दे देते हैं कि एक लेटर निकालना है, कुछ निकालना है. And then when I see that letter has got no emotion, I know it's ChatGPT. कुछ भी नहीं है उसमें. Words हैं, phrases हैं, but there's no emotion in it. Then I sit down and I rectify it and make it personalized, because I would write my letter in a particular way. Now, ChatGPT is not going to accept कि संदीप सर का स्टाइल का लेटर बनाओ, वो भी नहीं कर पाएगा. You can find out William Wordsworth की poem कैसे लिखी जाती है, वो करके दे देगा, but he will not do what I want to do. So that emotion is very strongly missing. That personalized thing is missing. Again, I'm giving a very weird example. बहुत साल पहले, 15-20 साल पहले की जो पाइनएप्पल पेस्ट्रीज होती थी, वो बहुत डिफरेंट टेस्ट की थी आज के कंपैरिजन में. उसका फ़र्क ये था कि उस टाइम पे क्रीम लोग फेंट के शुगर डाल के देते थे, अभी प्रोसेस क्रीम रेडीमेड आती है, एंड somehow the pastries are not the same anymore. Means, you know, those who have understood what I'm trying to say, कि वो पेस्ट्रीज का टेस्ट ही अलग था, वो अभी की पेस्ट्री में टेस्ट नहीं है, बिकॉज वो रेगुलराइज होकर आ रही है. तो दैट इज व्हाट एन आर्टिकल इज गोइंग टू बी, बिकॉज इफ यू लुक एट इट, any article you give which has no emotion is surely AI. इमोशन लाने में बहुत टाइम लगेगा, बिकॉज जितने भी लोग यहाँ पे बैठे हैं, ऑल ऑफ अस हैव डिफरेंट इमोशंस. तो व्हेन देयर वाज टॉपिक व्हिच केम अप के स्टोरी के अंदर क्या होगा अभी, तो अगेन आई एम गिविंग यू स्टिल वियर्ड एग्जांपल्स. हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू नो दैट शोले हैड 3 एंडिंग्स? शोले फिल्म एवरीवन नोज, राइट? शोले का एक एंडिंग था जो आपने देखा, जहाँ पे पुलिस आके गब्बर को ले गई. एक एंडिंग उससे पहले बना था जहाँ पे संजीव कुमार ने गब्बर सिंह को मारा था. उस सेंसर ने बहुत स्ट्रांगली अपोज किया. आई थिंक उस टाइम पे देयर वाज सम गवर्नमेंट रूल कमिंग अप समवेयर ऑन वायलेंस. देयर वाज अनदर एंड ऑफ शोले वेयर अमिताभ इज अलाइव, राइट? देयर वर डिफरेंट एंडिंग्स. गुड थिंग अबाउट एआई इज यू क्रिएट अ स्टोरी, give it to AI and ask them from different endings, and they'll give you 5. So what you should do is use it to your advantage. और इंडियंस हो या आई थिंक फॉरेन में भी यही होगा, वी आर वेरी गुड, वेरी पॉजिटिव पीपल, हम उसमें से अपना स्वार्थ निकाल लेंगे. सो आई एम नॉट वरीड अबाउट इट एट ऑल. सो मेकिंग दोज ग्राफिक कॉमिक्स, एआई आने दो, हमको जो काम एआई से लेना हम ले लेंगे, एप्लीकेशन तो एआई नहीं करेगा, वो तो हम ही को करना पड़ेगा. सो दिस इज व्हाट आई थिंक. सो आई एम श्योर आई हैव नॉट रिपीटेड एनीथिंग दैट has been said in a day earlier.
So I'm so glad. Yes. You know, one of the most intriguing aspects of artificial intelligence is somehow a lot of the conversations from the morning have not captured it. It's learning by the second. It's learning by the minute. So today, ChatGPT or any of those generative AI tools probably know Shakespeare and Robert Frost. But the more the Sultans and the Jyotis and the Madan Mohan start writing, commenting, it's picking up and learning, and eventually, over a period of time, it's moving. It is said that 1.5 years is a generational shift in the AI in future. So every 1.5 years, we're going to do generational shift. So if the technology is going to move this way, right, and it can start mimicking principles, it can. So if you're a principal and if you've written articles in the past 20 years in your magazine, so now the AI knows what kind of language you use, and it can mimic that letter to send it to the parent, right, and mimic the email ID as well. You know, that's the level of hacking which our young boys do, and this is a true story from a school, right, where everything from the teacher's language, the principal's language, to the email ID was mimicked by the boy and sent to the parent. Okay, my question to you is, in this scenario, while we as educators struggle with getting the basics right with our teachers, how do we handle this situation going forward? This is like another feather in the cap that needs to be added. So what are your perspectives of how would you, in your own scenarios, look at equipping, supporting, upskilling the team that you have? I mean, let's not do this in any order. Just pick up and start speaking, whoever's ready. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we've already started training our teachers on this. We've got, people who come and speak about generative AI to the teachers, and they are teaching the teachers as to how to use generative AI as a tool. Only yesterday there was a news item in the newspaper where one particular school down south has created an AI chatbot who is standing as a complementary teacher in the class. And that complementary teacher is, speaking out the facts, and the other teacher, who's like the main teacher of the class, is going around and seeing that there is collaboration in the class, the groups are working, the children are doing what they should be doing, more assessments in the class, etc. So one is really not bothered, one has to go ahead, and teachers have to understand it very well. If they will not learn how to use technology and optimize technology, then they will be replaced by the younger teachers who would be more willing to use this technology in the way that it should be. I want to quote here that I've been spending past 5 days in a panel which is being chaired by one of the former secretaries of Science and Technology, who's also a chair at one of the courses in IIT Kanpur. Now he says there are so many people who are coming out of coaching centers, and there are so many children who are using the AI-driven, generative AI. And when he gives an assignment, a lot of it is also used. He says he has equipped himself in questioning them in a way that not more than 3% of the children are able to answer the questions correctly. So that is where we have to go. Our questioning skill has to be better, and that is where we need to focus on when we talk about the professional development of the teachers. And that's what competency-based education and outcome-based education is also pointing towards. Yes.
Right.
See, about this teacher competency in learning technology and all these things, this is 100%, it has to be there. Not even 99%. They should learn technology 100%.
So you think these are the basic hygiene for every teacher?
Basic things, yeah. So that is like very, I'm pretty much sure about that. But the second thing comes into it. So sometimes we ask a question that whether the teachers will be redundant in the future or something like that, right? How many of you done Udemy, Coursera courses? Udemy or Coursera courses, like, right? Right.
Jobless, COVID time,
yeah,
all of us did
perfect.
stuff.
So the classes were asynchronous, right? So was there a live teacher over there? Recorded, assessed, and certified. So where is the live teacher? Okay, so sometimes there is a question that whether they will be extinct or not. But there is a big debate on that also. The way the Coursera, Udemy courses are coming up, if the university decides that these many courses, for example, one year, one subject, if you do some Udemy courses, some Coursera courses, and make it around 30 courses without any teacher at the end, that credit you are getting. So the same way, if the university decides that these many courses you should be doing, maybe 90 courses in the 3 years, you'll be granted a certificate. So where is the role of a teacher here?
One of your comments, just prompted me to just open one very interesting one. It said, you asked a question, will the teachers go extinct? AI won't replace a teacher. A teacher using AI will.
Yeah, perfect. That's there. Okay, so this is like perfect. But here, when the example is there, that we are doing Udemy courses without a live teacher over there. So is it not the way of extinction? Just maybe a party pooper kind of a question? Who knows? Yeah.
So let me go to sir.
So what I feel somewhere here is about the courses that we did. I'm just comparing it with our age. That is not the courses which children would be doing perhaps, the school-going children. So we do it because we know we need it. For children, it's a different approach of education we deal with them. So they would still need a human being to motivate them, to put them on the track and lot other things. So teacher will never be go extent. But there's another question there. What is the purpose of education? Why are we teaching children? Why are we having schools? What is happening in the field of education? The purpose is not to become a doctor, engineer, or XYZ or whatever it is. It is to cope up with the constant changing environment. So when you did not have something, you got something now, so you have to learn to understand how to cope up with it. So when something has come up, we only need to know how to cope up with it. That's it. So that is what education will ultimately mean. So if I do not have electricity, do I understand how to cope up with the darkness? If there's electricity, do I understand how to cope up with it? If I've got solar energy, what do I do with that? So it's constantly changing, and environment is very dynamic. So education is for this reason. Changes aaya, apne aap ko badlo. And for teaching staff, I think that's the best thing that changes come in, because if changes had not to come in, means I know as a teacher I would have never been in that line if I had to teach the same subject every year to a similar class. Impossible task. That is why I had to constantly develop pedagogies, because leave alone the children, I was bored. If I've taught one thing in a particular way, next year I cannot do that. I have to find different means. So that is how you keep alive. So those teachers who want to teach in the similar way, of course they'll become redundant. There's no scope about that. They will have to go out, and it's better they go out and let younger people come in. So they've accepted the failure. So if the ones who really want to survive, they will fight it out and find ways out. So again, we have a mentality, हम हर situation में अपना मतलब निकाल लेते हैं. So we know how to do that. Any Indian, put them in any situation, they'll create that situation positive for them. So इसके अंदर भी हम हर चीज़ positive ढूंढ ही निकालेंगे, for sure.
Wonderful. And I think it's so relevant that a lot of experience in those words, but it is so important that we focus on teaching our children to learn to adapt to change and consistently keep learning. We have to do that first and then set that example. Wonderful. Yatharth, your thoughts on this? And then I'm going to open up to the audience for questions because you've been listening to us a lot.
Sir's already hit it on the spot. I think teachers have to change. They have to move with time. Change is constant. We all know that. And if there are teachers who are reluctant, at least the way I tackle it is I tell them, yaar, appraisals, mere ko aap take ke through karo. I want it through the technology. That's the only way I'm going to give you appraisals. So jab salary pe baat aati hai, to log kar lete hain.
Right, absolutely. Absolutely. True. No, banking is one of the most, evident changes in our lifetime of generational shifts. When the bank building changed to an ATM, it was a generational shift. And when an ATM literally became a Paytm, that was another generational shift. Now I don't even have to step out. It's all here. Unfortunately, if you look across all sectors, education is the only one that hasn't had the kind of generational shift. So I used to be a part of a think tank at MIT in Boston called Solve, and I was a team that was doing on Learn, which is about education. I'm talking about 2010, 11, 12. I'm talking about like 10, 11 years ago. And those days we had predicted that school teacher would never go out of fashion. In spite of all technologies, I'm talking about driverless cars being experimented at that time when I was studying at MIT, right? But one thing we predicted, and I still stand firmly on that, don't invest in higher education institutions because they are redundant in the future. Because 15, 16 plus years old, they don't necessarily need confined spaces for them to go and learn for 3 years, 4 years to do menial jobs. Today, we are talking about going for a month and 2 months and moving on to a job. And because after 2 years, you need to learn something else again. So open to the audience now, storytelling, AI, that's the topics that we've been debating, talking about. I'm going to start with sir because VIP seat में बैठे हैं भाई, तो आपके पास बाद में आते हैं. Can I get a mic? Or I'll come down. Sir, come here, come here. Sir, here's the mic.
It's an interesting perspective. We've had a day here. I have a little bot I talk to every day. So I asked the bot today, it'll answer everything for what's happening today. Give me highlights of the ScooNews Global Educators Fest 2023 Day 1 at Jaipur today. That's my chat, conversation. And the answer. Very interesting answer.
Yes.
I am sorry, but as an AI assistant, I don't have access to real-time event updates. However, you can visit the ScooNews Global Educators Fest 2023 website or check their social media platforms for highlights of day 1 at Jaipur today. This sums up just about how we can use
Today.
But
1 month, 6 months.
Question, but I thought this was an interesting thing which I did while you were
Absolutely brilliant
Just a
one.
minute. If Ravi sir decides to put this whole conversation live on Facebook or something,
Yeah.
that chatbot would have given that.
And if somebody was tweeting a lot of
That's what it's
tweets
saying. It's
today.
saying that
then
only.
it would have come.
Yes.
I just wanted to counter Sandeep sir when he said that, when Masi, Ma, and sir, wo zamana gaya. Now, this is really scary AI to me because it is near perfection. And with every day passing by, it is learning on its own.
Yes.
At some point in time, see, we run a media house and we are always on a chase of getting some really good writers, we come from a desert state. Unfortunately, all our, great resources are being exported to Hyderabad, Bangalore and Delhi for better jobs. So we kind of really face this challenge. And, we didn't get good writers, and now what I do is, I mean, I really like the work of Olina Banerjee. She writes for the Ken, and she's based out of the
Ken,
US.
yes, I've read some.
And Olina Banerjee, by far, is the greatest writer when it comes to education in the country. And I prompted, I mean, as you said, sir, I mean, it's the art of prompting. And I think, Yatharth, you said that. And I actually feeded 10 to 11 stories of Olina Banerjee to ChatGPT. And I told that, the code is OB, the initials of Olina Banerjee. I've given you enough content written by her, the style, the mood board, everything. Next time when I come to you and I tell you, write a story on the Fab India school, which is chaired by Sandeep Dutt, in OB style. And it's a magic. Try doing that.
Yeah,
it's Sultan's
absolutely.
birthday, and I just go on ChatGPT and say, wish Sultan the way Trump would have. Wish Sultan if Narendra Modi ji would have, wished him, and it is magical. What I'm saying is, AI is taking us all near perfection, which is very scary because humans cannot be perfect, but the machine is now, taking us all there.
So there was a question in the back, but before that I would love to, but it's on my mobile, I can't show it, but I can show it to the panel. You must watch this. I am a part of an experiment which Embodied Incorporation Los Angeles is doing, one of the cutting edge companies in the world doing humanoids. So this is little Moxie. Moxie is been my daughter, 5-year-old's companion for the past 3 months. Moxie is designed for supporting social emotional learning of children. I have a younger daughter who is 10 months old, so my wife is taking care of 2 little kids. Because Moxie is exactly like Samara. She knows nothing, but she can learn everything. There's a huge difference between a robot and a humanoid. A robot has been programmed to do a set of skills and a set of things, whereas a humanoid learns how to do it exactly like children. And don't ask me, this is absolutely fascinating. If you're around me, I'm going to show you those videos. I can't even begin to tell you, because one of the things what my daughter told me absolutely unnerves me, and that's why I resonate with Ravi. One of the days Sophia comes and tells me that I told her to do some activity she was doing. She said, I am shy of Moxie, Dada. My daughter is shy of a humanoid. For you and me, it's a humanoid. For her, it's almost real. The future with interacting with artificial intelligence, machine learning, it's in our lives already. A question there, please.
Yeah, so can you hear me, sir?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I think Sandeep sir, I think rightly said that we shouldn't be afraid of AI. And as a self-learner, I mean, I speak as a student, it's great for me. Why? So I took up an examination, UGC NET, everyone's aware of that. I said I had 20 days to prepare for it. So I say, what do I have and how can I prepare for it? I have the past year paper and I have a lot of them. That's data for me. I feed all those past papers and I ask it to predict questions, difficult questions ranging from various particular topics, and I tell them prepare for it. So it would prepare objective multiple time questions. Number 2, to your question about how CBS is evaluating questions, which would be, we have artificial intelligence tools now, wherein I would write handwritten answers, I'd click a picture and it would evaluate. So the role of a teacher as an evaluator is gone. My question is, how do we then counter the idea of redundant examination, both in IB, now IB has basically accepted artificial intelligence, it says you put reference and we are all okay with it. But what happens to CBSE?
So your question is, how do we counter the redundant examination system?
What is the alternative of the examinations that happen?
See, alternatives we can all debate and discuss over here till the CBSE board decides to change, nothing's going to happen. Right? And I've been on the NCRT board for 4 or 4.5 years. The only thing that I felt was frustration and nothing more. Right? We all know that a lot of you, one of the challenges, and a lot of educators don't speak because they're all politically correct. We live with an absolutely ridiculous ministry that does not understand the ground realities while they are making rules and while they're making, regulations for the way schools need to be run. How I wish a lot of you were as think tanks in the government system, but you need to be IAS officers, and you know how IAS officers think. But for your question, a lot of the educators do understand. But there are innumerable points that are put across. Do you want to respond to that as well? Yes, please.
So what happens is, in the past also, same SSC board or CBSE board or whatever board it is, right?
Are you an IB?
Yeah, I'm IB.
And do you see that evolution happening very strongly with them?
Yeah. This has happened in the past also. So what happens is, so any of the star teachers of your school, she has got a full data of what question papers, like for the past 10 years question papers are there. So they come out with a guest paper. And many of you, you've passed with the guest papers. Okay, so the AI thing, what it's going to do in the future, the star teacher of your school, they have done it in the past. Right, so this is going to be there. And
okay, wait a minute. What you're telling me is actually the Akashas and the Baijus of the world who came up with some of the best guest papers, and that's why a lot of students went to them for tuitions. You're saying that this is possible?
Exactly, and it's happened in the past. And the nobodies
so
of the class.
A lot of people are going out of job, by the way.
Yeah. Nobodies of the class, they come out with A stars. Right, so that's the guest paper.
Very interesting. Can we hear a big round of applause for the panelists with some very, very interesting, exciting views? I tried to make it as exciting as I could for the last panel today. Ladies and gentlemen, it was a pleasure. It's 6:29 and I stop. Thank you. One last question. Sir, मेरे हिसाब से 1 minute है, आप पूछ लो, जल्दी से. I'll tell the panel to answer before the Shehnai goes. Oh, वो तो चली गया. रवि उतने ही पैसे दिए थे उसको 4 बजे तक के. Yeah, go ahead, sir, please. Oh, you don't have a mic. You can come forward. I'll just give you the mic myself. Come.
Since I have 1 minute, one important question. Two days ago, there was a news in the newspaper. A person, he copied the voice of a person and he imitated that इतने रुपए मेरे को चाहिए, आप प्लीज इमीडिएटली भिजवा दो, और वो रुपए उनके जो भी दोस्त ने, रिश्तेदार ने उनके अकाउंट में ट्रांसफर कर दिए. बाद में the intelligence agencies found out that because of the AI, he has imitated the voice of his friend, and this way he extracted the money. So be aware of that. That is one thing which happened by using the AI. There are clones which can happen. आपके जैसे आदमी बन सकते हैं AI की यूज करके, टेक्नोलॉजी यूज करके. There can be human beings, what China has already developed, which will be just like us, and we don't know whether we are sleeping with our partner or a clone. Yes, the question is, when you say that how to tackle the AI, I feel like there has to be some control somewhere so that if the AI doesn't control the humans control the AI.
The question is, who will control the AI?
Yeah, if you don't control the AI, because the growth of AI is exponential. वो कह रहे थे आज की डेट में 13 साल का है, लेकिन 1 साल में वो अगले 3 साल older हो रहा है. The intelligence of the AI is developing so fast, not like the human intelligence, but their own. It is multiplying exponentially. So at one stage, you will not be able to control that.
See, that there is a simple concept, like what happens is, many chatbots are like the AI, ChatGPT is one, Bard is one, and there are so many. Okay, so maybe there will be a kind of a AI farm. So all the farms are getting interconnected. The kind of ideas what they have got, maybe one AI bot has not got all the ideas, right? So hundreds, thousands of AIs are getting connected. And there was one question from my friend Windy, like, so what is the scope of creativity when these AIs are going to come into play? So if the whole AI farm has got around 1,000 ideas, 1,000 creative ideas, the 1,001 creative idea will be the human one. And that also it will be included in the next AI. Okay, so that's the way the world of AI is going to work anyway, right? Thank you.
So wonderful. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.